Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Mitchell.
Thank you very much. So I've lost my voice, so I'm not going to sing. Well, I didn't have a voice to lose, but I'm going to play some guitar. I'm going to do a couple of songs to warm up and get in that, to tap into the vibe. And then I'm going to open it up for all kinds of questions. Ask me whatever you like. It's a guitar clinic. It's not necessarily a concert. It's a guitar clinic. You can ask me about tones, textures, how I have things routed, guitars, boots, hat, whatever you want. And everything I do, I'm into guitar tones and textures. Everything that I'm doing, I used to do with a crazy heavy 16-space Shockmount rack, another 10-space Shockmount rack, and 4 412 cabinets, and a bunch of other pedals. I don't really do much that I haven't done before in the real world with real pedals. I still have real amps. I'm still into whatever the tool is. To me, they're tools. So, I mean, if they let me, we could build a rig right here, and there's plenty of stuff in this store to build an awesome rig. All right, so I'm gonna play, this is Cosmic Tears, and then, I'm gonna do Cosmic Tears and Ice of Blue, and hopefully I will be warmed up after that, after traffic on 4. Hello. There's more people here than when I started. My name's Larry. I just started working here today. Nice. This is Guitar Clinic. Feel free to ask me anything you want. I'm a producer, engineer, guitar player, hat connoisseur. What would you guys like to know first?
Where do babies come from?
Ooh. I remember there's like feathers and there's like a big beaked animal and yes.
Best pedal for a rhythm guitarist.
Ooh, for what style of music?
Southern rock, classic rock, tribute cover.
It's a question that requires more questions. So what kind of amp are you playing it into?
Fender Mustang.
So, okay, more questions. Mustang's an amp simulator, right? It's got different amps on it. What's your favorite amp that you're using on that? You don't like any of the amps in the Mustang? But they're all there's a character of each amp.
I know, but I just want to plug and play. I don't want to have to dial in 18 different variations for something. I just want something that gives me a little growl. I'm not changing amps, so I'll get the pedal.
No. Inside the Fender Mustang, there's amp simulations. So are you using this Fender amp in there, the British, the Marshall, the USA? All right. So if you're gonna run it through, the cleanest one is probably the Fender amp in there. There's a host of other things that some of the Keeley pedals, the double drive. What else do you? I'm trying to see what's over there. Well, yeah. So I actually like the Dirty Shirley over the HBE. The Friedman Dirty Shirley pedal will let you, like, if you want to do metal, you can crank it up. But also, if you turn the gain down, it's a nice broken up clean, which is what you kind of want for rhythm. Okay, but the small box only goes so far, right? So he's right. The small box, but the Dirty Shirley. I hope there's no one here named Shirley. The Dirty Shirley lets you, like, you would put the gain up just a little bit, and it gives you that edge of like so. So that's my rhythm tone. If I was doing stuff, that's just a Marshall Plexi cranked up. The Dirty Shirley should allow you to get that kind of sound. And then if you're playing lead, though, like for me, I would have to. This is the same amp. This is the same amp sim with an overdrive boost in front of it. So you got. But it has to start there. When you're running pedals, you have to start at a good sound to start with, whether it's clean sound or broken up clean. If your foundation is not there, then you could pile all you want on it, but it's not going to happen.
Quick follow-up. At what point did you decide to try to sound like Eric Gales and Eric Johnson?
I am way older than Eric Gales, man. I met Eric when he was 16. I've been into Eric Johnson since mid-'80s. Yeah.
You sound a lot like him on that second track you just did.
Oh, cool. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm a big Eric Johnson fan. I like Eric, too. I've known Eric for a long time, but I think I was trying to sound like Eric Johnson before Eric was almost born. I'm old. Huh? Oh, yeah. I'm 150 pounds lighter. A full zebra coat on and leather pants and a leather hat. Do you have one of those? Harkey aluminum speakers. In fact, the first time I met Eric, we did was probably 1990, 89 or 90. We did, I was in a band called The Crunch with Bernie Orwell from Parliament Funkadelic, T.M. Stevens from T.M. Stevens, but everybody. Tony Smith, who teaches at Berkeley, but he also a lot of notes. Crystal Talifaro from Billy Joel's band and Bruce Springsteen's band and everybody's band. And we did this thing called a Black Rock Christmas for German television. And it was a rather unique moment because there were all these bands. Vernon Reid was there with his, was it Defunct? There were a couple of, I'm drawing a blank because I'm all names. But at one point we were all backstage. Vernon and I were playing chess. And there's all these kids. It was just so not rock and roll backstage. There's like food laid out, but Vernon and I playing chess. A couple of people hanging out, doing stuff. There's kids running around. And we heard somebody, this is before they let the audience, we heard someone playing piano. There was a piano on the side of the stage. It's like, all the keyboard players are in this room. Who is that? And we go outside, there is 17-year-old Eric Gales just killing on the piano. And I was like, did you know he played piano? Like, nope. Had no idea. That's right. What was that?
I have maybe an easier question.
Sure.
Sometimes I can't tell if you're using a pick or your thumb.
They're all tools.
Do you hide it in your? It looks like you're strumming with your thumb.
I, I don't think I'm hiding. I'm not strumming with my thumb, I don't think. I'm picking. Sometimes I'm doing this to remind myself to not pick. Because what you don't do is just as important as what you do. And it's a habit from trying to cross. So for me, looking at soloing is a way of communication. And when you're in school, you learn words and then how to form sentences and then paragraphs. And then later on, you study something or you work on something that you know a lot about. And you don't use everything you know. You don't use every big word you know in describing something or giving a speech or whatever. You can do a speech from exactly everything that's written down, or you could be free in a subject that you know well to talk about something, and then someone asks a question, and then you can improvise off of that. So that's where things for me for soloing. So I always believed when I was teaching that whatever you work on for about 2 weeks, you have that technique in your bag. So working on bending, and I always do this. I was that annoying kid that I was working on. You could do this when you're 12. And you're like, I'm going to work on bending. And my mom came in. What are you doing? I said, I'm working on bending. All right, well, play something else because you get on my nerves. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, this is different. You can do that when you're 12. You can't do that later on in life, but especially if you're married, your wife will hit you with something. So you work on your bending, but you don't go around and bend every note. You work on your picking. But that doesn't make for interesting anything, just picking the whole time. And you work on slurring and hammer-ons and pull-offs. I need to work on but you don't do that the whole time. You work on aggressively picking. But that's like yelling the whole time. We don't speak like this the whole time, right? And then when in communicating, if I go, you guys should check out that guitar over there. No, you guys should check out that guitar over there. I just said the same thing 3 different ways, and they mean 3 different things. And when you're soloing, it's the same thing. So if I or same riff means 3 different things. So I'm working on different techniques. So when I'm able to tap in, and then you work on stuff so that you can just like you don't think about everything you're about to say. Most of the time we don't do that, and we should. When you're in the moment, you don't want to think about all of that stuff. You want it to come out. And so I try to get into the moment and to be in the moment and how do I want to express myself and what do I want to say? Not, oh, I should bend here or I should hammer on here or I should pick, stuff like that. So I'm not totally conscious of when I'm picking and what it's on the moment, it's in the moment. I used to be, in my 20s, I used to be proud that I could pick everything I could hammer on everything I could pick. Now I don't really care. It's just like, I have to be warmed up and then I can do whatever I want to do and not think about that stuff. When I'm not warmed up, I'm definitely thinking about, can I do this? Can I do that? And that's not where I want to go to be making music. What else?
So when you're writing, I'm big. I love instrumentals. From Chet Atkins to Floyd Kramer to Beck, but so when you're writing a melody, I've got a number of your CDs, and there's certain moods
Thank you.
that I want to be in, and I love your music. You're one of my favorite instrumentals.
Thank you.
And but you have such a unique phrasing that you do things, and I've heard people say that there's only so many progressions. So what builds a melody, and what makes a storyline that you're speaking? How do you have that creative process?
Building a melody when I'm not conscious of it is most of the time wrong, and then I try and make it right. It's weird because I produce singer-songwriters and world music artists and country and contemporary Christian and gospel and stuff. And when I'm working on someone else's music, I'm way into like, oh no, we can't do that, or we should use this and stuff like that. I learned my theory later on in life, and so I apply it way more in the moment when I'm working on someone else's music. And it's great for when you get stuck and you're like, oh, I come up with this and it's cool like that, and I don't know what chord to go next. Wait, oh yeah, I could do this or this or this, and then it's a matter of what's your preference there. When I'm working on my own music, I just kind of like do it and then go, why did that work? Oh yeah, why didn't that work? And I used to invite friends to play guitar. I mean, we play some of my songs, and I invite some really great guitar players, and I go, hey, what are you doing in my song? That sounds great. Could you teach me that? I was the annoying kid that, I'm self-taught, so I was the annoying kid that I always go, and I see somebody with a guitar, I go, excuse me, can you show me what you just did? And I tried to learn at least one thing, a chord, a lick, a scale, something from everybody else. So I was really annoying when it comes to that.
I asked because I saw a video where somebody was asking Joe Walsh how do you write a song, and he's like, well,
That's
first
interesting.
you gotta have a lick. So yeah.
Gotta have a lick. All right. But sometimes you write lick-oriented music and some riff-oriented. Sometimes you write chord-based. Working with lots of singer-songwriters, they're working with just the melody first, and then you have to figure that out. I don't think there's a wrong way or a right way. In fact, when you follow different artists, you can sometimes see a pattern of how they write, and they have to write with someone else to get out of that pattern and add something new and fresh to it. You should always try and jam, and if you play, you should try and jam with other people just to enhance your vocabulary. Just like if you try and learn a language and you never speak to someone else, you don't learn much. I was fortunate growing up in Brooklyn and Far Rockaway, Queens, and the local guitar hero in Far Rockaway was Steve Stevens from Billy Idol. He's the one that turned me on to Nags guitars. But also in that neighborhood was my friend Jeff Dahl, who took lessons from Steve. And Jeff is the first person I ever walked in a room and heard stereo delays. And I was like, oh, this is it for me. And Jeff played with Brian Ferry and Tom Waits and cool people. And then right down the road, I used to hang out with my friend John Levin, who's been the guitar player in Dokken for, I don't know, last 10 years or more, 15 years. And we used to have, so I was the funk guy. John was he could play any Dokken, any Van Halen licks and stuff like that. He later became a lawyer and then played with Dokken. We had our friend Jeff, who was the jazz guy. Jeff would literally come in and go, hey, I've been working on this chord for the last 4 weeks. We were like, Jeff, you're going to break your fingers. He goes, no, listen to this chord. It's perfect. And Jeff was in a dark death metal band. When I heard that, I was like, are we talking the same Jeff? And I was like, yeah. So I had always had a group of guitar players that we hung out. It didn't matter that we listened to different music and we weren't competing with each other. We would like, I would be like, what's that? How are you doing? How are you doing that? And why? Show it to me and stuff. And they would do the same thing with me. So, yes.
Is that where you got the ray gun sound from Steve?
Yes. Yeah, I heard that. I was like, I got to do it. And I've been doing it forever. So he hasn't yelled at me yet. You never know. On a ray gun sound. What else would you guys like to know? I've been using the same IR since the Ultra days. It's the same. And I thought about it. I have a friend, Mitch, another guitar player that when I was growing up. He's not playing as much now, but he was in a Deep Purple tribute band. And you go to Mitch's house, he'd have 40, 50 Strats, white Strats. And then he would have a bunch of heads, and he'd have all these cabinets, but he'd have the same cabinet. And he goes, I got to get it to sound good through this cabinet. So he'd plug in a head, and every time you plug a head into a different cabinet, it sounds different. And it's one of the bigger differences in your sound. You can change heads all you want, but if it's a cabinet, you can take the same head and plug it into a bunch of different cabinets, and it radically changes it. So I remember that philosophy from Mitch. And actually, Mitch is the one who pushed me tone-wise, too. I had done the Miguel Bosé tour in Spain, Italy. Our biggest audience was 90,000 people. Had this rack with Mesa Boogie Quad preamp, a 2290. I spent like $12,000 on a rig. I come back to New York. I take it to a gig. I'm playing, and Mitch is there. And afterwards, I go, hey, Mitch, what'd you think of the tone? He goes, oh, tone was great, man. It was really cool. And you might want to work on the low end. I'm like, really? Was it too bassy or not enough? He goes, well, just kind of wasn't there. I was like, oh, okay, so it was mid-heavy. He goes, no, you didn't really have any mids either. So it was tinny and bright? He goes, no, you didn't really have any high end. I go, Mitch, there's nothing left. No mids, no lows, no highs, there's nothing left. But he forced me to go home and work on my tone, like seriously work on the tone. Not that we were looking for the same thing, but it was just his way of getting me to work on it. Well, I tweak. If you're going to tweak anything, it's easier with real amps because you go to your gig and in the first 5 minutes you're turning knobs. It's harder when you have something that's programmed because you can't just keep turning knobs. And then I'm using 40 different presets, a different preset for each song. Same amps, but different preset. Well, you shouldn't tweak at low volume, because your ears play tricks on you. You want to tweak at somewhat concert volume, guitar volume, stage volume, I should say, and which can be annoying to people, but you have to do that. And then you have to trust. So once you get your sound, I learned once I was on the road and I tweaked my sound in a hotel room, and I'll make presets with existing amps and tones, but I'll change effects in a hotel room. But I won't change the amp sound, because I once changed that stuff, got to the gig, and I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And I was like, oh, I got one preset that I didn't mess with. So I went to that and I used it for the whole show. So I went and did that.
How long have you been a Fractal?
Over 10 years, 2008, 7, 8. I listen to a lot of stuff. I just did a festival in Tallahassee, and there was a Christian rock artist that was Mike Donahue. It was great. It was like really great production, and live it was really great. I'm still a King's X fan. I am still a huge Prince fan. I'm a Keith Urban fan. Let's see, who else? I mean, it's still Eric Johnson, of course, but I have to stop myself from listening to too much Eric. Hopefully I'll see him in a couple of weeks at the Dallas Guitar Festival. Andy Timmons, I'm a big Andy Timmons fan. Andy has a new record out. If you're not sure who Andy Timmons is, you should go. Yeah. Yeah. You should get him back now. He's promoting his new record. Yeah. So I listened to, and then because I produce a lot of singer-songwriter stuff, like Emmylou Harris has a new record out, or it's not so new now, but I listen to that. I still listen to Ed Sheeran a lot. I remember the first time I heard Ed Sheeran before he was huge. I was like, what is going on here? Great. So, speaking of new music, in 2020, everything shut down. Actually, 2019, I was only home 60 days for the whole year. I traveled to a bunch of different countries and played and had a great time. Thought 2020 was going to be rocking, and everything shut down. And I moved. I live in Alabama now, taking care of my mom, and I watched Let's Make a Deal and The Price is Right every morning with my mom over breakfast. And then I would go and work on a song for an artist that I was producing. And then I would, work on it until there was no hurry. So I'd work and then, all right, I'm going to watch a movie now. I'd watch a movie, and then I'd take a nap. I'd wake up, I'd work on a different artist that I was producing this record. And then I'd watch a movie and take a nap. Then I'd wake up and it'd be time to watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune with my mom. This is probably the most time we spent together in a long time. And then I'd work on one of my songs. And I was working on stuff, and a lot of friends. 2020 was a crazy year, just like the last 3 years. But I had a lot of friends going through a lot of stuff. And I was working on a record. Since my third record, which was acoustic, I've always tried to include one or two acoustic songs on every electric record. But people kept asking, when are you going to do another all-acoustic record? Well, I started listening to the acoustic songs I was writing, and it was clear to me that they were two different records. So one was the acoustic record was very light, and actually the title is called The Light Within. And the electric record was a bit dark, and I call it Dark with a Glimmer of Hope. And it's called Shadows in the Soul. And I did the thing that I told my artist not to do. I released 2 records on the same day, the week of the election, during a year of a pandemic, where you can not get any publicity for anything other than something crazy that was going on. But I'm happy I did. I'm going to play a few songs from that. I'll do the title track, Shadows in the Soul, and then I'll do Tunnel. And then for you guitar nerds like me, I use the virtual capo on Tunnel, and I drop it down 5 steps. We'll see. So first I'll do Shadows in the Soul. Balance is key. Thank you. This is Tunnel with the guitar drop down 5 steps. So thank you. That's to drop down 5 steps. This is normal pitch. So when I do the solo is in normal pitch. So I hear things a certain color and to normal pitch. But I also have a song from my first record that used use a D neck guitar. So for a while I couldn't play that song live unless I used my double neck, and I can't lift that thing anymore. So when the Virtual Capo came out, I was like, yes. Do you have any questions? I'm going to switch to an acoustic and play a song from the acoustic record that I released at the same time. But I can answer a question while you do it. Yes.
I noticed that motif on the last tune that you played there is something that you've been doing since the 1990s that I actually picked up and stole from you
Okay.
off of your VHS tape.
Oh, God.
I don't have the tape anymore, but I have the transcription of it. And it's very similar to what you did back then.
Really? Yeah, I don't have anything new, man. Just recycling. Well, my first record came out in 1990, and I've had lots of records with live players on them. But when I started doing a lot more clinics and house concerts and stuff like that solo, I decided to redo anything that I'm playing live solo, I redid. So I have one giant Pro Tools session with 35, 40 songs in it, and then I have another one with acoustic songs in it, so that it's the same. And I converted everything analog to MIDI. So I'm using one drum kit and Superior Drummer, whether it was programmed, played by a live drummer, and then converted to MIDI, or I put it together somehow. And I converted all the bass. Most of the bass on the records have been live bass or me playing bass. And I converted that with Easy Bass to MIDI. So it's the same bass sound, same drum sound. If it's piano, it's the same piano sound. If it's Rhodes, the same Rhodes sound. The only thing that's different is when there's extra synth parts and stuff like that. So that's from the record. And I did that so that I don't drive sound guys crazy going, all right, oh, this one song's too loud. No, this one's, yeah. You know, when you go to a clinic and, you got tracks from 30 years, they could be at any level and it's different tones and stuff like that.
So you're playing to a Pro Tools, everything's on Pro Tools up there? How you doing this?
No, I would not recommend anyone do a live thing with Pro Tools. Although people do it, but you'd have to have a backup and a Pro Tools. There's a new gig, especially in Nashville, the Pro Tools operator. No, I just converted down. I mix it down to a stereo file. I do want to switch everything to an app that lets me have a stereo drum track, a bass track, and then a click, and then keys, so that like I'm doing a thing at in Dallas Guitar Festival. On the big stage, I have a band. At the booth and at the clinic stage, I don't have a band, but I have a bass player. So I have a set of tracks that's just the drums. Just my sounds to get the live guitar sounds in the Fractal. Nope. No, that would be way too crazy. We're just gonna pretend this is in tune. I'm gonna pretend I can hit the right button. On like I said, I released 2 records here: Shadows in the Soul, the electric record, and The Light Within, the acoustic record. And I had an enormous amount of friends that lost their father the last 4 years. This is the first single from the Light Within. This is called Father. I can dedicate this to my friend Cindy. That said, this track is louder than the electric tracks. going to do one more. This is called Color of Sound from that record. And this is the best way for me to show how I hear music. Color of Sound. Thank you very much. So it's hot on a Saturday. What would you guys like to know? And then I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for, you're an imposing guy. You're sitting there like this the whole time. Huh? No. Well, I don't know. I can't tell. What would you got? Yes. I'm going for a sound, which leads to a color, which leads to ultimately to what we're calling the sacred note. I'm teaching at Steve Vai's camp this year, And the theme, I think it's still called the sacred note. It's like, where do you want to get to? What's the purpose? So it depends. I'm trying to remember what key I'm in. If I'm in my head, I'm trying to think of what key I'm in, what chord's happening, and what's going on. If I'm not, I'm thinking, if I'm out of my head, I'm just thinking of colors and textures and what it wants to do, you know. So sometimes you might start a riff and you're intending to go one place, but then you end up stopping at an earlier spot or going past. Just like at my response there, going past where I had to say. Does that answer your question? Kinda?
Yeah, I understand that. I was thinking maybe like a physical I guess in terms of like a physical destination or something. Like I know if I play, whatever, maybe 1, 3, 4, something like that, I can get
But how does that translate to what notes you're playing though?
right, exactly. So that's what I'm wondering if there is like a certain pattern. Every now and again, I'm sure it's not.
I know I used to think about patterns and stuff like that, but now it's more about the note and honestly, I said this when I'm playing. A lot of times I'm thinking, do I want to go north, south, east, or west? If you know the fretboard, you can go different directions. Sure. But I'm not necessarily thinking of patterns, thinking of notes. So I might do so there's many ways to get there. So I can think about like then. Or has a different, everything about it is different to me. So I'm thinking north, south, east, or west. Is that better? Understand? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, visual if. So here I'm just thinking about this minor pentatonic. But here I'm thinking minor pentatonic, but I'm also thinking C major. Well, probably shouldn't think C major. Yes. Ooh, so in producing singer-songwriters, everybody has an internal tempo, and it's a 10-beat swing. So if your internal tempo is rocking 95, your mellow is like 85, and your high, your normal fast is 105. Until you do a bunch of shows, and people are like, yeah, can you play something more upbeat? So then you force yourself to write something really fast. Or you do a whole record of stuff, like I did a tour with Tracy Chapman, and most of the songs were in that 85 to 90 beat range. But so after a while, you force yourself to write something slower or faster, depending on, like, if you have a bunch of fast songs and you go, I need a break in the middle, so you purposely write way differently. But and then And if you pay attention to songwriting and certain singers, like Sting can sing any melody of his over any of his other songs because he knows where his voice is. The same thing with Tracy Chapman or the good singers. They have a range where I'm not talking like top 40 cover band singers where they're blowing their voice out singing all stuff and they can do it well, but to really find when your voice lives and breathes and sounds its best, it's a three-key range usually, and then you write something out of that range and you go, I can't belt on this in the bridge or the end. Well, either we move it or we do something where it doesn't do that at the end of the song. So for me, as a guitar player, I have a little bit more leeway, but my first record is in E. It's just E, the whole record. And then when I got ready to do the second, I'm like, I can't do another record. It's all in E, so I'm gonna go to B. So I had 4 songs into B. And nowadays, when I write, I tend to drift in E major, E minor, B. Sometimes I purposely write outside of that, but it's the same, same thing. What you feel comfortable with, what you hear, what you gravitate to. And whatever you pick up your guitar and you sit on your couch and what do you start playing is key. Just an odd thing. So with singer-songwriters, it's really frustrating because they use a capo, and sometimes they don't think about it. So on the first day of the Tracy Chapman tour rehearsal, we're playing a song. You do on those kind of tours, you do one song a day, and then the next day you learn another song and you play both songs, and then keep going. So the first day we're doing this song, I don't remember what it was, but the capo was on the 2nd fret. It's like, okay, that's different than where I learned it, but you're a professional now. You gotta do it. And then the next day, the capo was on the 3rd fret, and I'm like, yeah, I can't transpose that quick, but all right, I'm struggling in it. And then 3rd day, it was on the 1st fret, and Lee Sklar was the bass player, and Lee saw that look of terror in my 28-year-old eyes, and he's like, hey, Tracy, I'm just curious, what key do you want to do this song in? Because yesterday it was on the 1st fret, 2nd fret, or 3rd fret, or whatever. She goes, really? Oh. She thought about it for a second, and maybe looked at an old set list, and she put it in the right fret. And I was like, thank you, Lee. I have to learn to actually speak up and go, hey, I'm just curious, what key do you want to do this in? And it happens with a lot of singer-songwriters that I play with. It's like, is that capo in the right spot? I mean, we could do it in that key. I can't, but we can do it in that key if you want, but I just need to know where we're going. You mean on the same song? Well, he was paying his band really good you can't argue with it. It's just like, oh, but.
Do you have a song that's just special for you that just you can just sit down when you're in an off zone that I'm not playing?
Well, I started with Cosmic Tears because I have a handful of songs that force me to warm up and get in that headspace. Cosmic Tears is one, Political Rain, but technically, because I wrote it when I was 25, it has a lot of stuff in there. Like, all the stuff on my first record, I'm like thinking, why did I write this that fast? What's going on? But it forces me. It gets me in the right headspace. I just have to be able to do it. On acoustic, it's been because I'm not really warmed up in acoustic, and I have hand issues. It's usually been a song called "Tears of a Woman" that really lets me get in that space. So I have those songs that I can rely on when I want to do. Yes. There's no set way. So I can divide myself up into a couple of different things. I'm a guitar player and then a producer and an engineer. The engineer is the fixer. The engineer's job is to go, that's what you want to do? Okay, I'm going to make it sound good. The producer's job is go, that's what you want to do? We should rethink that. And the guitar player's like, yeah, let's do everything. So I'll work on something. It depends on what headspace I'm in. If I'm just writing for writing, or if I'm writing riff-oriented, I'm more of a guitar player. The engineer side of me is like, well, that sound could work. Okay. And the producer side of me is like, yeah, I don't know if you want to do that. And I go back and forth. So it's at 2 bars, huh? Thought that was 3 bars, is 2. Not the best, but I forgot the question. I got distracted by, and I gravitate towards the textures first. So when I play sideman and all the gigs, I'm not playing lead most of the time. I am doing this. Actually, I'm doing a better job of it than that because otherwise I'd get fired. But and then the more texture stuff you put on is the less you play. You play like one note. There's an artist that I play with, Katie Martin, and there are songs where I'm playing one note. I'm just like, just one note, maybe 2. Yeah. Yes. Say it again. Uh-huh. No, I would seek therapy if they fought. No, the producer always wins out. It's like, the guitar player in me does something cool, and you lay stuff down, and then you listen back to it, and the producer comes on and goes, yeah, that's nice, but it'll never make it on the record. That's cute, but who are you trying to impress? It's the same thing you have to do when you're producing if there's other live players playing with you. It's like, that's really cool drum part, but this is a blues record. Please don't do the double bass drum death metal fill. It doesn't work, It does. It does. You have to switch back and forth. So when I'm playing when I'm doing guitar parts on someone else's stuff, the minute I stop playing the guitar part, the producer hat automatically comes on and goes, it could work. But then I'm also shifting around going, that could work if the bass did this. So then I replay the bass line. And then I go back to the guitar, the guitar should actually do this now. And then it would be great if there was a piano or a keyboard part that supported that. And so you have to go back and forth. Is that cool? Any last minute questions? I'm going to stop in a minute. Yes?
Have you ever thought about selling your backing tracks?
I have. People ask me for it. It's a weird thing for me. There's a company that has some of my backing tracks, but not the current way they are. I don't know. I might do. So it's weird. I have CDs for sale. I have yo-yos and water bottles. I'm out of coloring. I have shot glasses too. I'm out of coloring books. That's where we are in music business. I sell CDs, but really I sell yo-yos, coloring books, water bottles. But I'm getting ready for this round of later on in the year where I'm doing some intense clinics and workshops. I'm going to do a flash drive that has video lessons and stuff like that, and besides albums. So I need to figure out what backing tracks I'm going to put on that. So I'm probably going to make some just for that. But I don't know. It's just a weird thing. Every now and then someone sends me a video of them playing one of my songs, And it's cool. It's just it just strikes me weird sometimes. It's like, why would you want to do that? So yeah, I'll make some backing tracks and stuff like that, but not. I don't. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm gonna do my records or my tracks or something like that. Plus, if you do a video to it with the tracks, like YouTube sends me a message. I do a live stream every Tuesday and Sunday. YouTube sends me a message. Hey, you violated a copyright. I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm playing my songs. So you'll get that. You get that thing. So I might just do some general backing tracks. I talked to a couple of friends of mine that do the same thing too, and they were like, yeah, I'm just going to do different backing tracks, not the actual album. Yeah, or the songs to the albums. And even though I re-recorded, retracked, and converted everything, it still finds the song and says, that this is the original. I'm like, no, it's not. What else would you guys like to know?
Do you live out west? Because I saw the
I did. I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico for 10 years. But I'm from Brooklyn, can't you tell? Brooklyn, Queens, Varco, Queens, Manhattan, then San Diego, then back to Brooklyn, and then New Mexico, now Alabama. I scream Alabama, don't I? There's a festival next Sunday in Waverly, Alabama. I'm going to do that with my rhythm section, and then the next day I fly to Dallas for the Dallas Guitar Show, and then I have a really great band in Wyoming, Sheridan, Wyoming. So I'm going to have a festival, a show up there in the theater. And then the 30th, so on May 20th, I'm doing the show in this theater in Sheridan, Wyoming. May 22nd, that Saturday, I have to be on stage at the 35th anniversary of the New Mexico Music Awards and play with a different rhythm section. And then I have to fly way early the next morning to be on stage by 1, I believe, at the Tacoma Guitar Festival. So Wyoming, Albuquerque, Seattle, Tacoma, 2020. Yes? Steve Vai's camp. It is in Vegas. It's August 4th through 8th, I think. And it has Guthrie Govan. Yeah, this is line of Guthrie Govan, Yvette Young, Nuno Betancourt, Billy Sheehan, and then Joe Robinson, who is like no joke, just straight up Chet Atkins style, and then special guest Tommy Emmanuel and myself. It's like, it's gonna be interesting jamming. So it always is jamming with Steve. So I'm doing that. That's August 4th through 8th, and then there might be another thing. Every now and then, I don't know if you guys have been experienced to the Atlantic Center for the Arts in New Smyrna Beach. Every now and then I do a 3-week workshop there, which is really cool. Yeah. In New Smyrna Beach? Have you been to that place? No. It's, yeah. Okay, yeah. It's like, if you go in the grounds, it's like a mini rainforest in the middle of the beach area. It's cool. It's one of my favorite places, period. I don't know. I mean, I'll be there in September, but we're not doing a workshop. I'll be there for the whole month of September. But you can find it on my website, larrymitchell.com. Okay. What kind of music do you play? Yeah. The whole? Okay. I'm learning electric myself. I'm working on it. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you coming out. And thank you guys to Replay for having me here. And again, I have stuff. I know you can find, some of you probably don't have CD players, but which is why I sell yo-yo, shot glasses, and water bottles.